Do you know what breadsticks have to do with your puppy? Not a whole lot, but I promise to use it in today's more serious lesson to help make a point more clear. So, in today's video, I'm going to give you some really useful information about a behavior you might see in your puppies and even older dogs of all ages. Resource guarding. This is a term for a behavior where a dog seems to guard or protect something valuable to him, like food or toys. Now, I'm going to explain why it happens and what you can do about it. And somehow, I'm going to talk about breadsticks. So stick around and see how it all fits together. You like what I did there? Michelle here with how to train a dream dog. Now, before we cut the bread and get started here with the buttery details of today's lesson, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss when the next video goes live. First, let's go into a little bit more detail about resource guarding. Resource guarding is a dog's reaction when they perceive a threat to a valuable resource in their possession. The dog thinks that something they really like might soon be taken away. So resource guarding looks like you might picture an angry dog. Maybe they bare their teeth, and maybe you hear a low growl, maybe you get an angry stare, or maybe they change their body posture or even lunge in your direction. The signs could even be more subtle than that, like tightening their mouth and pulling back their lips, or showing the whites of their eyes. Or they could do all of these things all at once. Really, any behavior that a dog exhibits that discourages someone or something from taking something away is resource guarding. We think of resource guarding mostly with food, but it can happen with anything a dog finds value in, including treats and toys, even items they shouldn't have, or space, or even a human that they care about. You might also see resource guarding come up between pets, like two dogs who are now siblings, or even a dog and another animal, like a cat. The most common reasons for resource guarding are past trauma, genetic history, or multiple pets in the household, which means there's a competition. Past trauma could be something that happened with litter mates, or in a prior home, or even accidentally in your own home. In the end, we aren't going to focus so much on the why it happens, but more on what to do about it. And in discussing what to do about it, you're going to also learn how to prevent it if it's come up in your home with your puppy so far. Now let's chat about where you might commonly see resource guarding show up. With food. You go to put your dog's food bowl down and you just go about your business, and then you happen to walk by and you get somewhat close to him, and then all of a sudden you hear a growl. What do? Well, at that exact moment, you don't do anything except create some space between you and your pup. And you make a note to work on resource guarding ASAP, because resource guarding, like most behaviors that we want to see less of or none of, it requires work outside of the time that it's actually happening. So you're going to want to set up specific training sessions designed to work on working through this behavior and what you'd like to see from your pup instead. So what should you do if your dog is guarding food? Well, I'll tell you what not to do. Do not stick your hand in their food bowl. I know. Maybe you've heard this great advice from your neighbor's best friend's daughter who is nearly a dog expert, or maybe you read it somewhere. You definitely didn't read it from me. It is a pretty common myth, but let's be sure that we don't fall for it. Let's take a step back and examine this a bit more. Can you imagine if you're at a restaurant enjoying the meal that you just ordered and the waiter drops by and sticks his hand in your food? You'd say, "What the heck? Get out of here, you creep!" Well, we really owe the same respect to our dogs. They don't even get to control when they get the food. They are completely reliant on the humans for their food. In their mind, they finally got the food. It's not even really what they ordered, and now this human is messing with it? This is not cool. Not for humans and not for dogs. I am not saying that you can't go anywhere near your dog when he's eating. What we do want to do is train the dog that good things happen when he's eating, not bad. Let's go back to that waiter who you don't want sticking their hands in your food? What if this waiter walks by and just drops off a new basket of breadsticks? Now you have my attention. This is a good thing and not at all unwelcome. Now I want you to think like the waiter. I want you to drop off something good as you walk by. When you do that, your dog will actually learn that your presence during meals does not mean bad or bothersome things. You might choose to drop off a few high-value treats or even some extra pieces of kibble when your pup is eating. Whatever you do, make it a good thing. What's good? Well, I bet your dog can tell you what he thinks is pretty good. Maybe you also heard that you should handle the dog when he's eating to help him get used to it. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go back to the same poor waiter that I keep picking on. What would happen if he came up in the middle of your meal and he just started brushing your hair? Now, maybe you like the feeling of your hair being brushed, but not while you're eating, right? Probably not. Most pups like affection and physical touch. But there is a time and a place, and it's important for us to recognize that. There's a lot of other great ways for your pup to get used to human touch. Messing with them while they're eating is not one of those ways. All right, let's move on from the food idea for a minute. I think you got the idea there. Let's talk toys. Dogs often guard toys they find very valuable. We do the same thing with things we like, right? Phones, or our nice sweater, or maybe even a favorite pair of winter gloves. We are going to apply a little bit of a different technique when we're seeing dogs guarding objects. We call it trade up. That means you offer something valuable in return for your dog giving up the toy. Now, you can keep trading up, as this is a really fun game for your dog to learn. It might take a little trial and error to figure out what's more valuable than the toy that he has, but he'll let you know pretty clearly. Again, you'll want to set up specific training sessions for this and make sure that you do it at the right time, which is after your dog has had some exercise, but isn't completely exhausted either. Now, the more trade-offs you do when you don't need it, the more reliable your pup's behavior will be when you do need it. Think about that time your pup steals a tissue or a sock or one of the kids' toys. If you've previously made trade-offs a game of fun and a positive experience, your pup is going to be more willing to give those things up that are the no-no items that they're not supposed to have and are supposed to be off limits. Okay, let's talk about resource guarding with people for a brief moment. Now, this is one that I am going to recommend that you work with a local behaviorist on, not a trainer. The protocol required to actually work through this type of resource guarding issue is extremely important to follow, especially if the dog already has a bite history. This would need to be addressed in person because it's likely that there may be more going on in the environment that's causing this behavior. And really, another set of eyes and expertise on site is crucial. Now, did you know that resource guarding can happen with space too? Some people have a puppy and an older dog, or maybe they bring home two dogs from the same litter. It's pretty common to think that they can share a crate. After all, they surely want to snuggle, right? Well, maybe they do, or maybe they don't. But you should never let them share a crate. When you aren't around, they might suddenly compete for the resource of the space, and this could go south really fast. True story. I had a client call me in hysterics to tell me she had two dogs in the same crate, as she had always done, but she had come home from work to find one of those dogs had been bleeding and had lost an eye. I actually believe that two eyes were damaged, but for sure, one eye was gone. The bigger dog had picked a fight with the smaller dog, and the smaller dog had paid the price. This is one of those lessons I try to teach all my students. Dogs should never be in the same crate together, no matter how well they get along. It's fine until it's not fine. And we never want to get to that it's not fine. So just don't even tempt it. For more training tips like this one, be sure to watch this video here, all about the things trainers say often. There are tons of things like this that trainers say that are extremely important. All right, let's talk about two dogs for a minute. So far, all the resource guarding we've talked about has kind of been about human and canine. But of course, we can see it with two dogs as well. When we see two dogs who seem to be guarding each other's items, or maybe they want the other one's items, it's important to avoid putting the dogs in situations where an issue can arise. If you have a dog with resource guarding tendencies, Make sure to keep them separate from other animals when they're in the possession of something they find really valuable. This could be toys or chewies, food, even a water dish. Even if your dog has not displayed any resource guarding before, it is always important and a good practice to keep the dog separate when they have food items or other high value chews of any kind. Alright, let's talk a little bit more about what to do about the resource guarding. So I've given you some good tips already, but this stuff is really important, so let's just go over it so I can share just some additional information with you. This will be really important to teach your kids and other members of the family too. Number one, don't bug the dog during meals. We talked about that already. Remember the breadsticks? Yeah, be like that waiter. The good one, not the one that brushes your hair. Practice trading up. Maybe your puppy drops a chew toy, they get a high value treat, and then they get their chew back. Number two, teach them the drop it. Now, we haven't really talked about this skill here in this video, but of course, this is a really good idea. You will have to practice this game a lot outside of the time that you expect him to drop something very valuable. But this game is super important for all kinds of situations. Teaching your dog the drop it command is something we cover in our online course, 30 Days to Puppy Perfection, along with the leave it and the stay and lots of other awesome skills that are surely going to help you have a well-mannered puppy in your life. Now, the link to the course is below in the description. Number three, managing their environment. Let's not set our puppies up to fail. If you see that there's a particular toy or a treat that always results in overstimulation or resource guarding, it is possible that it's not a good fit for your dog, or at least not at the moment. Take it out of the toy rotation for his sanity and yours. Number four, make sure to properly socialize your puppy. Wait, what? Wait, well, how does socialization have anything to do with resource guarding? Socialization is crucial for preventing a variety of dog behaviors, such as resource guarding, fear, aggression, and separation anxiety. It teaches the dog to accept new things and be confident in situations that might be different for them. This doesn't mean that you have to take your puppy on play dates every day. Although not entirely a bad idea. Okay, well maybe not every day, but maybe once in a while would be nice. Socialization means exposing them to new things on a regular basis, which includes sights and sounds and smells. Not all of these things have to result in interactions with a person or another canine. Just experiencing a new store or a parking lot could be so helpful for your dog's brain. Keep in mind that resource guarding is a behavior that can escalate quickly, so we want to make sure that you work on skills right away. Your puppy will not outgrow these guarding behaviors. As a matter of fact, they can actually get worse without proper attention and training. Make a note that if you are experiencing guarding where you feel unsafe with your dog, or the kids are feeling unsafe with the dog in your home, please consult a behaviorist. Now, this is very important. You should never attempt to correct a growl or a warning sign from your puppy. The signals they are giving off are very clear and indicating that they have some discomfort. If we correct a growl, we run into the risk of making the behavior more unpredictable, or worse yet, we create no other way for our dog to communicate but to bite. Now, I hope you learned a lot about resource guarding today. Just a few more tips here. As for the canine body language, this is an area of your dog's world that would be really important for you to understand. And it can help to think more like a dog and not a human. Remember, they can't reason like we can. Their brains aren't that complex. They think much more simply than we do. So, when you stick your hand in their food, they don't equate that to mean, oh, maybe I shouldn't be protective, because that makes no sense. They do think, oh, this human approaching cannot be good. So, if you got nothing else out of this video, just know, no more hands in the dog food. Be a good waiter. Alright, in the comments below, let me know one tip you learned that will help with your puppy.